Hello, my name is Christine Allen. I'm from the Threatened Species Conservancy, and today I'm going to talk about our journey with local citizen scientists in the recovery of threatened flora in South Coast, New South Wales. Before we get started, I know we've all been sitting here for 2.5 days, so maybe have a stand up, have a chat to your neighbour, and I just want you to have a talk about something in the natural world that you saw or someone told you as a child or as an adult that made you go wow and you couldn't stop thinking about it. So mine was actually lerps in high school. Our science teacher told us that you could actually eat lerps from eucalyptus leaves and other leaves, and I thought that was really amazing that these little psyllids made little sweet houses that actually tasted sweet on your mouth, on your tongue. So I went home and showed my sisters out the yard, and we all stood around eating these little psyllids, much to my parents' surprise. Uh, so at TSC, uh, we are all about creating that wow factor and creating a sense of collaboration with the community in that way, in that hands-on way. So we're a small not-for-profit. We only have 5 staff, but plus lots of volunteers and a volunteer board, and both based in New South Wales and Victoria. We work collaboratively with various organisations, government and other universities to improve conservation, recovery plans and management of Australia's threatened plants, animals and ecological communities. But number 2 is really establishing the community interest and fostering a sense of awareness and responsibility in the community for our threatened plants and animals. So we have current projects based in Victoria and New South Wales. Other ones include the pink-tailed worm lizard, as well as the post-fire recovery of butterflies in Mallacoota. So we are all about taking people out on trips or multiple day trips and inspiring the community to get that wow factor about threatened flora that maybe people haven't heard about. They're sort of the smaller species, the less charismatic species, but really telling their story anyway and creating a sense of responsibility in the local community. So in all of our projects we involve volunteers. We've had 300 volunteers over 2 years, which is quite amazing for such a small organisation, and all different ages and interests. And we've had 3 student internships since 2018. And we've had young people who have come along to a few of our days and have decided to dedicate their careers to a certain species or a certain genre or family of organisms because they've been so inspired by the work that we've done, we do. So this project is a partnership. The current project is a partnership with Department of Primary Industries and Environment. Once again, we've involved the community in the surveys and germplasm collection. And we've chosen 5 target species from a list of the 34 high priority plant species impacted by the fires. So the project is really about raising awareness of the regional biodiversity of threatened species in the area, creating a sense of hope and empowerment for those local communities, and then supporting those citizen science groups already existing, including the Atlas of Life in the Coastal Wilderness and Budawang Coast Atlas of Life. So I'll just go through the 5 species that we have targeted. Starting from the most northern was the dense cord rush, Balaschian longibes. So this species is located in small pockets around swampy areas, and this project just focused on the Canangra Void Blue Mountains National Park. the Nerriga grevillea, Grevillea renwickiana. So this species is found around the Nerriga area and the Moreton National Park, and on a mix of private land as well as the national park land. And that national park populations were completely burnt in the fires. Bombay bossia. So this is a very highly specific species just found on a small pocket of the Shoalhaven River between Nellingen and Bombay. And it is a very charismatic species and with a small community organisation around it. The Chef's Cap Correa. This is found in 2 distinct locations in state forests and national parks, up near Bateman's Bay and then Bateman's Bay Moruya, and then down near closer to Bega in the Byamanga National Park. And a large proportion of its populations were burnt. And finally, the breadbow gentian, so Gentiana breadbowensis. Laura Canical has already described the tumultuous journey of this species, and our funding will assist with genetic analysis and some habitat analysis of this species. So I'm just going to go through more details about 3 of these species. The Bombay bossia. So this is a Bombay reserve before the fires, and that's what it looks like 2 years after the fires. So it was completely burnt, and plants are found very close to the river edge on that sandy substrate. So they were burnt as well. And previous efforts by the Bombay Landcare and also Queanbeyan Palerang Council of replanting efforts was totally destroyed as well. So in the past 2 years, DIPI has created a monitoring program for the seedlings that have popped up, and this year we did a re-monitoring of those seedlings, and they're doing really well. That's what that one on the right there, and there's the group of Bombay Landcare doing that survey. And then what's really come out of this fire was a group effort and creating a short-term and long-term action plan between the Landcare groups, Water New South Wales, local land services, and DIPI and us, and also Queanbeyan Palerang Council for more surveys to see up and down that section of river what is surviving, and also weed control and seed collection. So that will be happening this year and next year. And we were lucky enough to collect some seed in December last year. We were actually just going to check on the plants for a quick check, and we heard all this popping noise of some of the mature plants that didn't burn on that Bombay reserve, and the seed pods were actually popping on that day, so perfect time for seed collection. So a few of us were able to collect some seed, which will be sent to Plant Bank. So the second species I wanted to talk about was Nerriga grevillea. So this is a critically endangered prostrate shrub, and it is also only spreads by root suckers. So there's genetic analysis that's found that it's infertile, and it only spreads by the root suckers, and it's generally about 6 genetic individuals located throughout the Nerriga and Moreton National Park area. So we found really thriving mats of this species throughout the resprouting area. So it's an obligate resprouter, and we went back to those populations in the Moreton National Park and found almost 9 hectare mats, which was quite amazing. And another great thing that we found was flowers. So it's a very strange little guy. It flowers very infrequently, sometimes over a decade in between flowering sessions. But it produces infertile flowers. So last year, we were lucky enough to see the flowers at private property, which was unburnt, but also in the burnt area was producing these infertile flowers. And then you can see here some ants that are enjoying the nectar there. And we had great interest in this species and had some local volunteers coming along to do the survey with me at Moreton National Park, and really a lot of interest in the Narragansett area, which was devastated by fire, and they're really interested in this species as well. So the final one I wanted to talk about was the Chef's Cap Correa. It's been recorded in two different locations, as I mentioned, and now there's a mix of burnt and unburnt populations. So we went out with a mix of groups, including the State Fire ecologist. We had a lot of interest from locals to come out, and then we also had some Aboriginal rangers who came out of the Byamanga National Park to find out what's happened to these the seedlings. So it's an obligate reseeder, and the adults die, and it produces small seedlings. So there was a bit of concern about those faster growing species competing with the seedlings. But what we found was the really still thriving large area of seedlings in those burnt areas. And more mature plants were producing flowers. So altogether quite healthy, regrowing in those national parks and state forests. And then I thought it was really great. Some of those volunteers who came along with me had lost their houses in the fire, and just talking through in those multiple days of the field work was very cathartic, and talking out the hope and resilience of people and plants. And speaking of hope, the Eurobodalla Botanic Garden was devastated by the fires as well. The whole bush area was burnt, as well as their buildings. Luckily, the herbarium didn't burn. It was fireproofed, and I was taken for a tour and found that the Chef's Cap Correa is much loved in that herbarium, and also the Friends of Eurobodalla Botanic Garden take the Chef's Cap Correa as their emblem. And here's just a little display in the botanic gardens of the things in the visitor centre that was burnt, and how they've rebuilt. It's a beautiful building now. I highly recommend, if you're around that area, to go and visit. So this past summer, being involved with all of these post-fire surveys with the volunteers, I found that they can be really an eyes on the ground, and they're so committed and enthusiastic. They can be locals who are watching for the project when you can't be there, and these projects create a sense of fulfillment and responsibility for volunteers, and watching the recovery also brings hope. I found, particularly with the Bossia, it's bringing groups together that may not have been interested or not a priority for them before the fire, and then after the fire everyone's come together, and people have been quite proud. Custodians of the species, such as the Bombay Bossia, it creates a pride in that community that they're looking after the recovery of that species. And I noticed a few weeks ago, Rachel Fowler from Uni of Melbourne wrote this interesting conversation piece about the Grey Army, and I really agree that these volunteers, often retired, when funding is cut, these people are still working for this, for the cause. And finally, on the piece of resilience, I found this really summed it up. So this was the sort of area we were walking through to find the chef's cap coria, and I was just amazed at the volunteers who were so dedicated to finding these populations or refinding them. And it was really a metaphor about the resilience of people and those plants that are still looking healthy. And I'd just like to thank all of our wonderful partners who have done so much work over the past few months, and we will continue working with them as well. And a bit of the beauty after the fire has also been astounding. Thank you.